Yes, sir. We are back. We're you know what? We're feeling a bit better. I'm gonna say as a whole, as a fan base, we're good. But we got some other things to talk about. But we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. Welcome back to the Sick Podcast Anvil Show. Sammy, bring us in.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Anvil Show.
Intercepted! Marlon Jackson! Marlon's got it! We're going to the Super Bowl! We're going to the Super Bowl! Marlon Jackson with the interception! He picked off Tom Brady!
The sickest Indianapolis Colts podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah. Welcome back. Let's just go ahead. Let's get right to it. But before we do, let me just tell you. And this as a fan base, I know this hits you, but it doesn't matter. Playoffs. Talking about playoffs? You bet we are. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs. We wouldn't know about that because we definitely don't score enough regularly. But you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the number one place to bet touchdowns. If you're ready to place your first bet, try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. Like I said, I think this week there was one interesting one that I heard about. I mean, you proceed with caution, but somebody already put that they were going to bet on a rushing touchdown in every single game. So, I mean, listen, do with that information what you will. I'm not saying you should, but I'm just saying that's an opportunity. But the best opportunity is that new DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 6sports. That's SICKSPORTS, all caps, no spaces. That's code 6sports for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
That is a lot to say. Let me officially welcome everybody to our show. All right, that is the official sound of the anvil. That means we are live. Welcome back, boys. A little bit of news out of Colts camp today. Apparently, we have started to create our list for whom we may bring in for DC. Right now, there's only 2 names. That is Steve Wilks. If you're not familiar with him, last time you seen him, he was in the Super Bowl with the 49ers. They let him go after that, and he's been out of football since then. And then we have Lou. Somebody say his last name.
Anarumo.
Yeah, him. And he was let go after leading the mighty Bengals to a 26th placed defense, if you will. And so currently that's what we got. I've heard some things that sounds like Gus 2.0 when we talk about Steve Wilks. I've heard people get excited about Steve Wilks. He's had aggressive tendencies back in his days, especially when he was with the Panthers. And Lou has tons of experience. So that's all we have at the moment. Neither one of these guys were mentioned on Tuesday's show. But since that's what the news is, let's talk about the news. You guys care to dive into your feelings on the first 2 names that we have announced that will be on the interview list?
Hell no to Lou.
Hell no to Lou. Okay, this is interesting. Tell me why.
I think the last 5-6 years, he's only had 1 year in the top 10. All the other years have been the low 20s.
What's up, Teresa? Okay, here's the deal.
Don't like it.
Because this is the thing.
He got fired for a reason. He got fired for the same reason Gus Bradley got fired. Why do I want Gus Bradley's Jr.?
Okay. I've seen somebody say Jim Leonard. That's another name that I've seen. Here's my situation. Jim Leonard, is that the guy out of Wisconsin? I don't know. Okay, that's a college guy. Anyway,
no,
or is he at Cardinals?
I forget which team he was for. I forgot. But no, he's in the NFL.
He's in the NFL. Okay. Anyway, back to Lou. So here's my thing, and it has been highly touted that the Cincinnati Bengals have taken a 2000s era approach to building their team, which means they spend all the damn money on the offensive side of the ball. Outside of Mr. Hendricks, who is an absolute madman at defensive end, they don't have too many notable players on that defense. And that's kind of been a situation that is now getting him in trouble, as everybody's talking about end of year statistics. And Joe Burrow led everything. Jamar Chase, Triple Crown. Why ain't these guys in the playoffs? Well, you can't stop a nosebleed.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, okay, as we all know, the coaches and coordinators are the ones that have to fall on that axe, fall on that sword, if you will. And that's kind of what we have in my opinion, Lou's situation, because the Bengals haven't spent money over there. Now, do you still feel the same way about the man knowing that he's kind of dealing with what he's dealing with?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes, it's just that simple. Holy shit.
Because look, man,
Why even waste my breath there? Damn.
I don't care. I don't care if you're an undrafted free agent, you're on a team. I don't care if you're a 7th round pick.
Yes,
you're
you do.
on a team.
Yes, you do.
You are there for
They do.
because of the ability that you have. Now, some people have better abilities. Absolutely. Some people are just, that's the way it goes. But you're there.
You're going to talk yourself into a hole, Pat. I see you
No,
digging
I'm not.
it.
No, I'm not.
You digging it.
No, I'm not.
And we agree.
Look, if you are in this league,
What the hell they got
you
to do
should
with the
be
coach?
able to produce regardless.
Okay, fine. But we're talking about the coach. What's that got to do with the coach?
Exactly. No, I am talking about the coach. If you just agreed that if you're talented enough to be considered in this league, you should be able to do something. This coach did nothing with the talent that he has.
Well, let's also and I mean, so here let me go ahead and approach it from a different angle. But I think I might be
the NBA where you can build a friggin' monster team.
Okay, Chris.
Everybody at this level is talented. Some are more talented than others. Yes, I get that. I understand that completely. But you're talented enough to be in this league. That coach should have been able to produce.
all right.
That word has too many purposes, and we'll get to that, Chris. Go ahead.
Let me just point it out this way, right? Because the thing is, because I was having a discussion today, and I went over their injury list. The only notable injuries that they had in terms of defense were, like, I'm going to say early on, was in like November, where they lost a cornerback to IR, and then they lost another one. So they lost like DJ Turner. They lost like one other guy, Daxton Hill. But the thing is, this defense has been bad since the beginning of the year, and everybody was healthy. Like that's the issue that I have, is because of the fact that Joe Burrow playing as well as he did this year should have been more than enough to carry them. Even if it's a bend don't break defense,
What's up, Terry?
they should have been able to go, because like I said, they were playing offensively, they were playing lights out. And that was throughout the whole season. So the thing is, the defense being as bad as it was, that shows you just how much he wasn't able to adapt, and he wasn't able to go ahead and utilize who he had there. And not only that, but like I said, there was no notable defensive guys lost until late in the season. And early in the season was when they were extremely bad. Now, mind you, with all those guys that went to IR, Logan Wilson went to IR later in the season. Dax Hill went to IR later in the season. He went in December. And this is when the Bengals were starting to kind of get hot a little bit. So for me personally, if I'm looking at this defense was awful all year, and they were just able to kind of kick it up towards the end of the year. But they still were not able to go and get over the hump on defense, because they were able to play just okay enough to be able to not lose any more games when Joe Burrow is playing at an MVP level. That's why to me the answer is not Lou Anarumo. Like that, he's just not the answer to me. I would entertain Steve Wilkes, but I'm not the biggest. He's better. Like the problem is that both of these guys are better than Gus Bradley, and that should not be the selling point to us going and getting somebody. Like that's me be like, because if I see somebody, if I hear somebody say he would be an upgrade over Gus Bradley, we would be an upgrade over Gus Bradley.
Facts.
Like Pat, you would be the D-line coach. I would be the cornerback coach, and Clyde, you go ahead. You just be the DC. We would be at best probably like 27. Still better than Gus Bradley.
That's awesome.
I guarantee you we won't. We'll be top 10, baby.
Okay, so by no means am I about to pretend to be a Bengals fan and know all that it is to know about Lou and his staff and his team and none of that. But here's what I'll say for this whole thing. Like when you're using the word talented, yes, I understand that in the NFL, these kids are drafted for a reason. I mean, it's a microcosm of all the kids that play football. There's only that many to make to the NFL. I totally get that. But what I'm also saying is when you neglect a certain side of the football, and we should know this well, we had absolute terrible defenses with about 3 players on the defense at any given time. 3 to 4 of the 11 starters. We did that for a decade in the 2000s, maybe even a little bit longer. And so going to now Chris's point when he was like, okay, well, you know, Joe Burrow playing like an MVP, he's supposed to be able to elevate that. That's great until you watch a game like the fucking Broncos game when it should have been over and they let them score at the end of the game to take it to overtime, right? And now all the other, you know, crazy scenarios that happen with them. So you got to work with what you got to work with. I truly get that. And that's how DCs and OCs are either made or broken. But you got to also understand, like, sometimes the cards are not stacked good enough. Lou would take this same defense and we would be better. Not because of the upgrade thing, but because I believe that he would allow the players to be more. I think that we had better players on defense than the Cincinnati Bengals. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Okay.
Who do you know on the Vikings defense?
A couple names.
You name them.
On the spot? Okay.
On the spot.
You got Gilly. You got Harrison Smith. Those are the guys there. The corner's name is on the tip of my tongue. Sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
Fuck. I mean, I don't know, man. I can't just run them off the top of my head. But I know they're notable guys. They're not no names.
Well, they can't be that big of a name. You don't know them. And you fucking know everything.
Who's the best defense in the NFL?
Who is the best in it? Defense?
Yeah. Who's number 1 defense in the NFL?
I thought it was Baltimore, but I don't know for sure.
Give me their entire starting 11.
I can't.
That's my point. We don't follow them. That's my point.
And my point is they're not big enough names that we know.
They don't mean shit.
Who's the best quarterback in the NFL?
The best quarterback? Who you say?
Joe Burrow.
Okay, we know Joe Burrow. We know Lamar. We know Mahomes. We know
that's the QB though. That's not
exactly. All right, who's the best safety?
Best safety?
Kyle Hamilton.
You think so? That's Baltimore.
That's my point. This coach Flores turned this defense into a dog defense with a bunch of mid-tier names
until Sunday night.
I mean,
in my opinion, our defense is not mid-tier. It's above. It's above mid-tier in talent. We need that dog coach, like I talked about Tuesday.
Don't do that. It's not above. Fuck no. Absolutely not. You Omaha. You're Pat the homeboy tonight. Pat the homer.
Bring them all. I'll take them all. But
I said we're better than Cincinnati. That's not saying that we're top tier. Absolutely not.
I didn't say top tier. I said we're better than mid tier.
No, we're not. We are what we are.
In
Ain't
my
that what
opinion.
Denny Green said?
Yeah.
And we
They
let him
are
off
who
the
we
fucking
are,
hook.
We
They
thought
are.
they were. And we let him off the hook.
We let him off the hook. Okay. So y'all are out on Lou. Jesus Christ. That was rough. That was rough and stuff. That's fine. All right. So flipping the card then. Steve Wilkes. Thoughts.
I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I'm not there. Like I'm like Steve Wilkes to me is like I'm 50 to 60% sold on Steve Wilkes on a great day. And the only reason why I say that is just because he does some things very similar to Gus Bradley, but the thing about Steve Wilkes is that he can disguise some things. So the thing is, and that was our issue last year. It's just like we didn't disguise anything. And when we did, Gus Bradley was just like, all right, yeah, we did something new and it worked. Now we're going back to the old shit. It's just like what, like that's what it is. But the thing is with Steve Wilkes, I think honestly, like Steve Wilkes would be a good pickup, but I'm just not all the way sold on it.
So, okay, when y'all say like Gus Bradley, what do you mean? Are you talking about his actual philosophy or, like, because I don't think that they're the same at all. Like,
I think
he's aggressive. He uses a lot of DBs, but he also schemes a lot. He schemes a whole lot, right?
I
So
even bottle my shit.
what? What are you talking about?
He asked if I was drinking the bathwater. I said I bottle it too.
That's disgusting. That is fucking disgusting. Jesus Christ.
It was a joke. Jeez.
Terrible work.
Hey, you need to loosen that hat up.
Hold on real quick. Take me off real quick. 1 second.
Thank you. Go loosen that hat. He's in a freaking little bitch mood tonight, ain't he?
He's in a tizzy. I don't know what's going on. But no,
I'll keep it going with Wilkes. And I'm not too far off of what you're saying there, Chris. My concern is that couple of boneheaded plays he made in that NFL or in the Super Bowl, the year he got fired right after they lost the Super Bowl. Is that something that, and I don't know him well enough to say, he's done that his whole career, or if it was just something stupid that he did during the Super Bowl. Well, I can't even remember the play that he did, but I remember Shanahan just having a fit on the sideline, and then after the Super Bowl, he was fired. I don't know enough about him. I know back then, 49ers defense was rock solid. So that's a plus.
Well, you had because
with the Super Bowl, that's a plus.
Yeah, because you had the difference was that you had Robert Saleh, who they had an established defense. DeMeco Ryans just took that defense and then he just kind of took it to the next level. Steve Wilkes was kind of supposed to be that guy who just continued that trend, but the problem was that he just wasn't able to just mirror that same thing because of his own philosophies. So the thing is, it was still a good defense, but it wasn't that lights out defense that we saw from DeMeco Ryans the year before.
Or Saleh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Saleh. Right. So the thing is, it's just like he was kind of a victim of the people who were successful before him, which is why it's just like it's a little bit tough because also, he hasn't been in the league for a year. And that's tough because he hasn't had that opportunity to go ahead and just be in a defense just kind of going against what this league has currently. And I mean, there's people who there's defenses that were just bad. There's defense that were awful this year. And you mean to tell me that you wouldn't immediately look to Steve Wilkes as an upgrade over just what you have that's absolutely awful? I mean, Saleh got fired as a head coach and was picked up as a consultant or advisor or whatever they call it, just until he goes and he gets his landing spot.
Okay, well, they call Lou the mad scientist, right? I don't know if Steve Wilkes has a name. I like that name. It's pretty cool. But the cool thing about Lou, and we didn't discuss this when we were on him, is like he's going to run like that 3-4 hybrid shit that I talked about. I feel like you have to bring in a guy who's going to maximize the players that you have.
Yeah.
We can agree. I mean, Kwity Paye has been very solid but average. He's going to get his 8 sacks every year.
Yep.
You know, he's going to do what he does in run support. Nothing too great, but nothing too awful. But we don't have in the dirt 4-3 type DEs that just get after it. What we drafted last year and Laltu, we need to stand him up and let him be like the catalyst. Like, honestly, he is the mismatch. I understand DeForest Buckner is the key to this defense. He is the core. He is the rock solid piece. But you have to let the playmakers make plays. And Laltu is more of a linebacker in his build in the NFL than he is a defensive end. Just my thoughts. So you need somebody who's going to have the approach of TJ Watt. That's how we need to utilize Laltu. I'm not saying he's that good yet. I'm not saying he'll even max out at being that type of talent, but that's the way he needs to play. Get his hand out the ground. Stand him up. Every now and then put it down, but stand him up and let him rush the edge. Let him go crazy. Remember Clay Matthews when he was the man?
Yeah.
Let him go crazy off the edge and build your defense around that. That's my thought. So whether
I'll agree with that.
either
I'll
one
agree
of these
with
guys
that.
really are, I don't know. I like I said, the DC's got to interview the team. The team's got to interview the DC. But if I'm interviewing now the DC, I'm like, who are our best players? You tell me. And that person speaks, they tell him, and then I'm like, okay, how are you going to utilize them? How do I maximize the value of Latu? How do I maximize the value of DeForest Buckner, knowing he's seeing 2 and 3 every snap? How do I get the best out of Zaire Franklin?
So, random tangent question here. Is Shane going to be the person who's going to get the chance to pick his coordinator, or is this going to be a valid decision?
Okay, well, I would hope. But the problem with that is he's already in the chair. Like, so it's not as if he's coming in and he's like, this is who I want to bring with me. I don't know how that works.
It would seem that they would do it together.
that would be tragic. That would be absolutely.
So that defeats the purpose again. You put him in there with somebody that I don't need you to make this decision, right? Is that what you're kind of getting at, Chris?
No. Oh, I thought you was talking about.
No, I'm saying, Chris, when he's saying is he's going to have the opportunity to make his own choice. Are you saying that in the sense of don't handicap me? Don't do what's best for the pocketbook. Don't do what's best for your own scenario, how you see it. Let me coach. Let me say, this is how I'm going to play offense. How do you compliment me as the defensive coordinator?
Yes, because what we're looking at is the fact that you didn't let go of Gus Bradley after year 2. So that's why you're in the position that you're in right now.
Giant fans.
You didn't allow your head coach to really just go ahead and just be like, listen, this is what I need. I need to go and just get somebody, let's make this happen. Because the thing is, like I said, as much as he loves Gus Bradley, as much as he reveres Gus Bradley is outdated. And that was proven this year because you can't have the type of defensive scheme that he has and think that you're going to be able to do anything. And it got exploited time and time again. But the thing now is that Shane Steichen is the head coach of this team.
Yeah.
And what you need to make sure that you're doing is that you're empowering Shane Steichen to be able to do these things. You have literally put Shane Steichen out there to dry in every single press conference, given all the drama and turmoil that this team went through. And in my opinion, Chris Ballard doesn't need to be part of that defensive coordinator hiring process. He needs to sit his ass down. He needs to get ready for free agency. He needs to get ready for the draft. And he needs to stay the fuck away from everything else. Because honestly, it's like, let Shane be the coach of this team. Let him go, allow him to go out there and show the example of the leadership that some people are questioning. Because the thing is, if he doesn't go out there and he doesn't lead, you know that Shane's not your guy. If he doesn't go out there and handle what he needs to handle, you know that's not going to be the case, and you know that he is not the answer to what it is what you want from a coach. So he's automatically just gone ahead and just handed in his pink slip for after this year because now he's just not the guy for the job. But
which is why I believe that defensive coordinators are generally better head coaches. That might not support record because you got people like Andy Reid, whatever. But I'm saying the defensive coordinator. I mean, look at Bill Belichick. He was a defensive coordinator and became a head coach. And what I'm getting at is the way that they see the game is much different. Shane Steichen has to have an OC because that's just a position on the staff. But when you think about it, right? When you think about it, he is the OC. So what the hell does Jim Bob Cooter do? And so we've seen the same thing with Frank Reich. Frank Reich held the playbook tight. He would not give that up, and no matter how bad the team was doing, he kept it, right? Yeah. You cannot focus on all the things you're talking about, i.e. leadership, i.e. being out in front, i.e. making critical decisions, i.e. being ready for wild questions at pressers, whatever, because your mind is X and O's.
Yeah.
That is a problem. And so I don't want to sit here and say what Shane Steichen can't do, but on his first time out, this being his first opportunity to be a head coach, if he looks back at this 5 years from now, because he's been let go and now he's back to being an OC, if he ever wants to get that HC job again, this is saying that we let him go at some point. He's going to have to say, that means I cannot be the coordinator.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are. So what I'm getting at is, this is what I'm saying, Chris. What people, this sounds hilarious, but what people are and what they bring to the table is what they are and what they bring to the table. I'm not looking for none of these coaches to have some drastic different approach. Do we want players to improve? Fuck yes. But he is a fucking X and O guy, and so that's how he's going to coach, and that's going to leave holes and voids in leadership. That's just where we got.
But I mean, and also let's go ahead and let's kind of pivot a little bit. Everybody loves Dan Campbell now, but the thing is, they don't remember those times when Dan Campbell was with the Dolphins. They don't remember when Dan Campbell was with the Saints. Dan Campbell's ascent to stardom didn't start this year. It started in having an absolute crap year one, because he's been the Lions head coach for 3 years now. But the thing is also, Dan Campbell is the guy who's the fiery leader, who literally is not handling anything when it comes down to offensive or defenses. He lets Aaron Glenn handle the defense, and he lets him go ahead and do what he needs to do. He lets Ben Johnson handle the offense and let him do what he needs to do. And the thing is, because of that gives him the opportunity to really just be able to just be the leader that he's supposed to be. Like that system that they have there is one of the absolute best run systems, because the head coach is allowed to overlook the whole team and make sure that he's getting guys in line and make sure that he's establishing that fiery culture that you come to see. But he's letting the offensive coordinator coordinate, and he's letting the defensive coordinator coordinate, and he's making sure that everybody's doing their job. And that's not what we have, because of the fact that we have a GM that meddles more than our owner tries not to, but still does anyway.
But I mean, in all honesty, there's kind of a couple things that go into that equation. Everything you just described is absolutely correct, but that's the anomaly in today's NFL. I mean, you look at all the great head coaches, they are masterminds on one side of the ball. That's just what it is. And so to have this like, hey, I'm the head football coach. Here's what's supporting me. Here's what's supporting me. Okay, let's go out here. I made a decision. Let's do it. Like, that's like, you don't even see that in Pee-wee sometimes. like that's just gone. Everybody wants to be the next great genius because I figured something out, on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. So yeah, I love what Dan Campbell is doing. And plus he was in a situation where literally that team could be no worse. The Detroit Lions have been a perennial loser since their inception or whenever they came into the league. And so there's been so many head coaches take that job and lose. There have been so many starting quarterbacks start there and not finish. I mean, you got the tenure of Stafford, but before that, it was whoever with the fuck was showing up. So I get what you're saying, but that's just going to be. I mean, now I'm telling you, that's one in a needle in a haystack because everybody's looking for a head coach who probably needs a Dan Campbell is still looking for who's the next like OC. Everybody wants Ben Johnson, right?
Yeah.
So Ben Johnson comes. How is he going to be? Like Shane Steichen. Everybody wants Aaron Glenn, right? If he gets there, where's he going to focus on? The defense. But is he going to support the offense? Sure, but he's probably going to call the defense because we've seen defensive coordinators be head coaches and still call the defense.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And so we got to figure out, this is what we got. Who compliments Shane Steichen? That's all I care about. So when you say a Shane Steichen making a decision, after we've interviewed, hopefully we take our time here. After we've interviewed 10, 12 guys, however many come through the door, Shane, who compliments you? Based off the way you want to play, based off the way you want to push the ball, based off the everything you do, what defensive coordinator comes in and compliments you? Because the other side of the ball, I mean, I guess I won't say the other side of the ball. I want to use that. But the other side of the story is you got to think about practices too, right? Mm-hmm. Like in order for us to get better as an offense, we should be practicing against top tier performers. We should be practicing against schemes that challenge us so that on game day we're ready because our defense can produce whatever it is that we're about to play. That matters. I'm sorry, Gus Bradley giving you a fucking wide open middle and bailing receive, that gives you all kind of false confidence. Yeah. I feel like every week we trot it out there like, oh yeah, our game plan is solid. And you hear all the players talk about, our defense plays hard and he's got, bro, look, let's be 1,000% honest. It's easy as shit to complete passes when the corner is already standing at 6 yards and he's already in a trot backwards and he doesn't know what route you're running. Yep. I can look great in practice. Get in the fucking game and then what? Nobody's doing that shit and I can't complete a pass.
Screen. Yeah, God forbid it's a screen.
That's my point. And everybody's on AR's neck. Oh, he can't complete short passes and this and that. Well, he's probably not really practicing against the same type of defense that he's seen weekly.
Yeah. So
that's an adjustment.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think one of the things that makes Lamar so great is the fact that he's frequently playing against a top 5 defense. Exactly. Like he's frequently playing a pass rush. He's frequently playing against a good secondary. He's frequently playing against linebacker. He has Roquan Smith playing opposite him. And you really think that he's not going to be able to be good if for some reason, because the thing is, there's not a lot of guys that are better than Roquan. I mean, the same can be said possibly for Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's a little bit more of a system guy, but the thing is, the same could be said if you got Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw playing across from you, because you know for a fact that you're going to have to get the ball out or you're going to have to diagnose defenses.
That's true. And I mean, to go back to that last point, Luis is making this. He's been saying this forever. AR is not all bombs away, man. Like, I don't know why you always say that. What ends up happening is, if you really study the game, outside of Josh Downs, there is no separation within that 1 to 2 second time window that everybody talks about a quarterback has. So when that's not open and you scramble around and you're creating time, if you will, because you're an athletic quarterback, more than likely the deeper route is what's going to open up. Or you just have, somebody just kind of like scatterbugging around and all of a sudden Josh Downs is like now open because he's found a hole. But when you run the concepts that we run and they're so basic and so bland, that shit ain't open. So if you got 2 seconds in your mind, that's the kill clock, ball out of my hand. And when I say hike, my guys are either jammed, they're in some kind of like, zone tree coverage and they're not open. What am I supposed to do? Just eat the ball, take the sack, call another play, or try to scramble and run? Or, you know what? We got Alec Pierce, only the leading receiver when it comes to yards per catch. Hell yeah, I'm going to throw that shit 45 yards and see what happens. Because the 2-yard play was not open. The 5-yard play was – Kylan Granson is bow-legged as hell playing fucking tight end, bro. We got a bow-legged tight end. I'm bow-legged. Why does that matter? Because I ain't gonna get open in the fucking NFL. That's why.
Well, no.
He wears 2 left feet. No knock to Kylan. Probably a great guy, but he cannot play tight end and be a starter.
Well, we also have to point out the fact that when he has played and he's managed to get open, he's absolutely smoked like open catches, and like he was Snoop Dogg. Like it's just like it's ridiculous the fact that like we've seen it in 4K that this man can be by himself in space, enough time to potentially learn how to do a backflip if he doesn't already know how to do one. And I mean, he absolutely just drops open passes.
And then here's the other thing, man. Like, and this is the other part of that, right? The frustration is the other tight end, because these are your outlets. We're focusing on outlets. The other part of that is if you don't have an outlet, then the short game is dead anyway, right? I for all that Jonathan Taylor is my favorite pass catcher, he is not.
No.
And then last but not least, I mean, you got Kylan Granson we just talked about, and our other starting tight end is Mo Alley Cox, and he looks like he's running down the field with the same speed that the Sears Tower in Chicago would move at if you told him to run a route. It's big and clunky and slow. So it's either throw it to the sky and let him get a jump ball or nothing. Like we don't have a possession guy outside of, our 1/2, however you look at him. That's Michael Pittman. But that's neither here nor here. Okay, we got to do some things before we get out of here. This is going to be a short show. Thank you for all of the things that are coming in, all the engagements. Chris, you got sick picks. Fire away, sir.
It's time for Sick Picks. Brought to you by DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Our team isn't in it, and if there was an option to pick us to not be there, then I hope that you picked that option because you were correct. You know what? I said something at the beginning of the show, and I'm going to go with it. I saw something interesting, and I mean, listen, you can take it for what it is, but somebody put out there for the 6 games that we have this weekend, turn it into a this is going to be a nightmare. 6-leg sick pick. Every game will have a rushing touchdown.
Okay.
Every single one.
Every single game, rushing touchdown. All right. I think I can get behind that.
Yeah. And like I said, I can't bet in Missouri. Not until December of this year. So, huzzah. Thank you, people of Missouri, for finally making that happen.
Huh. I wish the people of Indiana would allow. Never mind. Pat, you have a job tonight.
What?
Do your job.
Homage specializes in ultra comfy, high quality looking, repping sports, pop culture, and more legendary moments. Learn more about Homage with the link in the description. I do want to answer Aaron's question real quick.
Omaha. What kind of read was that? That was like half bedtime, half like.
Well, do you want me to do it again?
No, I don't.
Are you not happy, sir?
I am not happy. But anyway, get to Aaron before we got to get out of here.
I'm a DEI hire. What the hell you expect?
Facts, and you're failing miserably.
Yo.
Let's bring up Aaron's question here.
But he asked who the DC was with Shane Steichen, and that's Jonathan Cannon. He is now the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah. And they're not good. They're not good. But I mean, here's man, we don't have a lot of time. But here's the problem. You go back to that Eagles team that produced both Steichen and Gannon, and you look at who their GM was. He was like, I will give you whoever you want, whether I trade for him or I draft him or he's recently cut, whatever. And so I think that's the situation. What's that? Can you always come to Illinois for that, Clyde? Oh, yeah, true that. But one day in Indy, we're going to get right. But no, so I think that the trio matters, right? The trio, take the owner out. The owner just does whatever the owner does.
He counts his money.
Yeah, but the GM and the OC and the DC, they got to be tied to the hip, man. And like, I don't know what kind of conversations are being had, but that's where we struggle right now. And of course, we don't know this because we're not in 56th Street and we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And everybody will assume that they do because they got a podcast or they heard this from whoever they read Twitter or Reddit or whatever. But anywho, moral of the story is that's what we got to figure out. What's going on there? Because if somebody is just making command decisions like, well, boys, this is what you got, make it work, you'll never be successful. This is my vision. This is my philosophy. This is what I want to see. You'll never be successful. Because if that's the case, just be Jerry Jones.
Speaking of 56th
You know what I'm
Street, I did see where they rescheduled Balor's interview for tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Ooh, damn, 10 o'clock Eastern, right?
Yes, my
Shit,
time.
I'll be flying on an airplane. I'll be on a jet.
Well, what
plane.
else is new?
You know what, boys?
Another damn vacation.
Actually, this is not a vacation, sir. I am going to help a friend move to Texas. So we are going to pack him and ship him across the I-10 to get here with us. So I'm actually doing work for my friend. So this is not a vacation.
Yes, because currently he lives in Tahiti.
You know what? And we're going to get out of here because I don't like how you guys have changed your tone. You went from gentlemen to assholes very quickly. And,
First of all, I don't change. I'm an asshole.
and you wouldn't even distinguish gentlemen in the start. You're kind of like asshole gentlemen. Or just, but anywho, where can we find all the folks?
At
Chris?
Big P Colts.
Damn, you just jumped the gun?
So you couldn't say anything about it.
Still terrible. Where can they find you, Chris?
Find me on Twitter because Mama call him Twitter. I'm calling Twitter. At CJ Colts fan. Find me on Facebook. Well, you know what? If you find me, just ask. You know what? Yeah, we're just going ahead and do it that way. But yeah, find me on Twitter. Jordan. So, yeah.
And we call it the X, like my boy Exhibit. So find me at Colts Clyde. And so what's not up there, please follow us on the X at Sick Pod Colts. I don't know why we never plugged that. Producer, let's start plugging our actual page at Sick Pod Colts. All right, so hopefully next time we talk on Tuesday, we got more information. Maybe there's a hire, maybe there's not. Maybe there's more interviewees on the list. I don't know. But this is the time that you kind of are like, no more football for us and nothing really happening. But this is actually the most critical time of the year. We need to start making some shit happen before we get into draft mode, before we get into camp mode, all that. So with that, you guys be good. Keep making comments on the pages. Stop fighting with each other. Nobody's right. Everybody has an opinion. All those things. We love you. Till Tuesday. The boys are out.
Peace.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast and Bill Show on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.